Doing it until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, people? CP3 live from the lab coming to you on a special show on a Wednesday night. It's been a while. We haven't done two shows in a while in a minute. And in fact, this is the third show I've done this week. We had the great episode Monday night talking Ron Rivera, the culture change at Redskins Park, Dwayne Haskins, Chase Young. We even got some boxing in with Paul, the boxing guy. Had my man Champ calling in from all the way overseas. Had a great show. Then last night, if you tuned into my page, we had a great NFC East roundtable with our special guest tonight, Steve from the Bleed Blue Show. He'll be calling in shortly. We had Vinny and we had Victor, who covers, I believe Victor covers the Cowboys and Vinny covers the Cowboys and Victor covers the Eagles. And that feed is on my page also, so you can go check it out there. As always, bringing you the best sports content around DC sports, NFC East sports, just sports in general, because that's just what we do here. It's DC sports by the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. You know, go check out the pages. It's up there. Go check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel that I'm streaming live on right now. Carol Porter III with 3 eyes, not the number 3. Make sure you go like the page. Go check out Sports on the Hill Apparel line. We got that popping. Make sure you heard the beats before, the beats by CP3. You know, we dibble dabble in a little bit of everything over here on True Radio Network, but that's what we do. So if anybody wants to call in, have any things you want to talk about sports related, make sure you hit us up on the True Radio Network hotline, 347-884-9299. I'm sure my man Robbie probably sharing the feed now, so I appreciate everybody taking the time out to check us out and see what we're really about. My main man Steve should be calling in shortly. We're going to talk about, I'm going to ask him some questions. Last night he was the moderator and interviewed all of us. So tonight I'm going to ask him some questions about hockey, baseball, football. Might even talk some politics. Who knows? Normally, Sports on the Hill, we don't do politics, but it's a Wednesday night. It's a special show, so why not? Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start the show off while we're waiting on my main man to call in. But it's been a crazy time right now, especially for sports. I saw some things coming across the line today about the hockey. They're in negotiations trying to figure out what they're going to do with the playoffs, if they're going to restart back up or if they're going to shut down. We don't want them to shut down, but we want everybody to be safe. So I miss hockey. I miss playoff hockey. And I made my bold prediction that the Caps will win the Cup again this year. So I would love to see the playoffs and see if my prediction comes true. Also, the Nationals, 2019 World Series champions, Baseball season should have started already. They'd have got their rings, but as we mentioned on the show last night, they'll be doing a virtual ring ceremony on Sunday, streaming it live. So I'll probably be checking that out. It's better to be there. We were there for the Valor raising their banner when they won the Arena Football League, and it's nothing like having your fans there and having the whole ceremony, seeing the banner raised up. But unfortunately, we're not having that right now with the Nats. They have, like I said, a virtual banner raising on Sunday. Just missing sports in general. I think my main man, Steve, is on the line now. So let me go ahead and bring him in. Steve, what's going on, my brother?
Sports on the Hill podcast. What's going on, man? How's everything, bro?
Hey, man, it's going good, man. I was just getting off my chest about missing sports and about the NHL in negotiations, trying to see if they're going to have the playoff format. I was about to get into the NBA. They're having negotiations now, talking about playing games in Disneyland, and it's just strange not having sports, and just don't feel right, man. How do you feel about this? We talked about it a little bit last night, but how do you feel about it? As I told you, I'm missing hockey for real, for real. What do you feel about this situation? Do you think that they should have these games without the fans? We spoke a little bit about football last night, but what do you think about baseball and hockey, especially with the hockey playoffs?
I mean, I'm a believer that the sports or life in general needs to return to normalcy as fast as possible, but at the extent of health wise. Meaning, we have to at some point, as citizens of this country, just in the world in general, but here in the States, man, we gotta find a way to get back to businesses operating, even beyond sports. If we're just looking at the sports level, and you already know sports is a business, we talk about this as well. People got to get paid. People who usually work at these arenas, these stadiums, that's their part of their livelihood. You would want to see everyday hardworking people get paid. So I'm a firm believer, as long as the protocols are safe and people can get and they practice the right, the cleansing and of course the social distancing, I don't see why they would not be able to play sports without fans, which would be fine with me as well. I think at the end of the day, there's been a demand for sports. That's why the UFC over the last 2 weeks has had phenomenal ratings with no fans. NASCAR had phenomenal ratings with no fans. Can you imagine how hockey would be with no fans? And of course the NBA. So yeah, I'm a firm believer this could work for the short term.
Yeah, we short term. Yeah, I'm just, like I said last night, I don't know about the owners. Are they going to buy into losing all of that concession money, losing all of that parking money, losing all of the merchandise sales? Because we know it's ultimately about the owners keep on making money so they can pay these crazy salaries they pay their athletes and the revenue sharing and all of that. So I would be surprised if the owners went along with it, because I would love to see it, but I just think the greed of the owners aren't going to allow it to happen, because they still have to pay these contracts, especially the NBA with the new salary cap and these outrageous salaries. I mean, I know these owners are wealthy and well taken care of, but can they really afford to pay these guys when losing probably millions of dollars in merchandise and concessions and parking and stuff? I just don't think it's gonna. I just don't think they're gonna do it. They're greedy for a reason. They're rich for a reason, because they like saving money and making money. And by them just having a ring, unless they make a new TV deal or something, I'm not sold that the owners are going to go along with it.
I think it's a case-by-case situation. If you listen to what Mark Cuban said, Mark Cuban has been on the record to be all in for getting back to some sort of normalcy, but maybe a different owner of a team's franchise may not be on the same page. So I think it is a case-by-case situation as far as which owner wants to come back, which owner does not want to come back. But at the same time, I also think I understand exactly what you're saying as far as revenue, the concessions, and all that. But I kind of look at it like this, and I'm not exactly sure if the owners are, but maybe they are. But sometimes you kind of have to take a step backward to go forward. You're going to take a hit. The last several years with these sports, they've been making record money through the TV deals, the ESPN, your NBA TVs, your TNTs for the NBA, for the NHL's the NBC primarily. So they've been making their people lost their jobs, 30 million people, whatever the crazy number is.
Yeah.
I don't. It'd be really hard pressed if they would really make it about greed and get bad publicity. I don't think they wanted to set themselves up for that. So this is a tricky situation for the owners, man. I mean, they want to make money. Everything has to be a business. And also, it all depends if the players want to come back as well. So, I mean, you have a lot of moving parts. And I think it really is a case by each owner, depending on who you ask. Because Jula's been on board for it, but maybe a different owner may not be on for it.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen the NBA players definitely, chomping to get back to, work. They, had some type of conference, secret vote or whatever. That the results weren't released to the public, but they're definitely looking to get back. I know the hockey players are looking to get back, but safety is the key. It's like you say, it's a sticky situation, a crazy situation that we would never have thought would be going through right now. It's just wild. But I'm in here watching some old Nats right now. I know you're a diehard Yankees fan. I know we have normally Brian Brennan on our show, who's a New York Yankees fan. I'm gonna ask you some things. I know his stance on the Houston Astros. How do you feel about that whole situation that went down with them, with the sign stealing and using technology and stuff on their chest and know when the pitch is coming and all that? How do you feel about that?
Oh man, I feel robbed, dude. I feel robbed, man. We could go back to 2017. I went to Houston to a lot of those games. That series during the regular season, the Yankees were in Houston. I flew to Houston to watch those games. Actually, was at the Friday game. We actually won that game. That was on their Game of Thrones night in Houston in 2017 in the regular season. But when you get fast forward to the playoffs, that Yankee team was considered by a lot of people playing with a lot of house money, meaning they got to the Game 7 of the ALCS, and a lot of people didn't think that team would get that far. See, I'm one of those type of fans, Carol, that if you're knocking at the door, you have to bust through that sucker. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, "Oh, we would always wait till next year to talk." Because you have a lot of people that if you overachieve, they'll be like, "Oh, we always have next year." I'm not one of those wait till next year type of fans, man, because next year is never guaranteed. And obviously, like you said, we would never have dreamt in our lives. We've seen it on TV, these apocalypse type of movies and virus and pandemic type of movies for decades. Never thought I'd see that happen in my lifetime, as you just alluded to. So next year is never promised. When the Yankees were knocking on the door in 2017, Game 7 of the ALCS, I'll still never forget the fifth inning of the opportunity that we blew in that inning. So we lost that opportunity. 2018, you come to 2018, we split with the Red Sox, and then they come to the Yankee Stadium, and I mean, they literally blew the doors off of us at home, when we were at home. And like I said, that season is never promised. You go to 2019 with the Astros, and then, there was something that was really awkward about that home run, and I'm not even Monday night quarterbacking because I remember vividly, like, dang, Altuve really locked into that Chapman pitch, but I thought it was just him being a great hitter. Comes to find out, all we know what we know, he knew when it was coming. I mean, it was too good to be true. I mean, it's not too often you lock into a fastball that's 101 miles per hour. You know what I'm saying? And you belt it to left field. So I say all this to say, man, I do feel a little slighted because the type of fan I am, I go to a lot of Yankee games, and you're talking about 2017 and 2019 alone. Those were opportunities to go to the World Series, and who knows how it could have panned out, man. So I kind of probably feel how I feel about my Yankees, probably how you feel about the Nationals, or not even the Nationals, because you guys I'm talking about the Capitals. This is your window to really pile on some Stanley Cups.
Yeah, true. Because my stance is, I mean, I understand how you feel with that series. I didn't, I wasn't really following the Yankees and Astros series back in 2017. But I guess my next question would be, do you feel like their title should have been stripped since this came out? And I don't say given to whatever. That's been the argument that I've been having discussion that I've been having with baseball fans, are saying that they should be stripped and, give the title over and boom, boom, boom. How do you feel about that?
If you strip it, who do give it to?
Exactly.
Well, in the sense of, what the accusations that they've had over the years, if you strip it, who do you give it to? Do you give it to the Yankees? Do you give it to the Dodgers that year? Do they actually go back and play it out? A lot of those players on both of those teams at that time are no longer players of those teams. So how do you see? I'm kind of more of a, if you strip it, who do you give it to? I don't want a vacant title because you went through 162 game season. Everybody did. Think about the teams in their division that were knocking on, kind of competing with them and probably got bit by, like the A's, the Angels, the Rangers, Mariners. Who knows what happened with those games? So I'm not 100% sure if I'm fully on board of stripping the title, but if you're going to strip the title, who's going to get the title? And if who's going to get the title, how do you play for the title? So I would be more of a game plan on that as far as replacement champion versus just stripping the title and there's no title, because we just played 162 games. So that's just like, when you look back at history, they'll be like, what the hell were they thinking in 2017,
No doubt, no doubt. I definitely agree with that. That was my issue when I heard some of the fans saying that they should strip the title. But my outlook on it is, sign stealing has been a part of baseball for a long time. Now they've added the technological part, with whatever, beating on the trash can or having a thing on his sensor or something, so they know what's coming. But you can know what's coming, but you still have to execute, which has been my thought process in the whole thing. Because sign stealing has been an issue, for, I don't know, for as long as baseball has been going on. So, to me, it does suck. I'm not condoning what they did, but in the evolution of baseball, the evolution of everything, things are, cheating is going to be, technology advanced or whatever. But my bigger issue, because folks say the purity of the game and the tradition and all of that. What's your stance on the electronic strike zone? Because I'm honestly fed up with these home plate umpires. I can't stand them. I feel like they grandstand. When you can see on the TV, they have the box on the TV where you can clearly see it's a ball, but they're calling it a strike. And I've said over and over again, there's a big difference between 2-1, 1-2, and 3-1, 3-2. That changes a hitter's whole mentality at the plate. And then you got these guys throwing out players because they felt like they're showing them up and yada, yada, yada. But you clearly have the technology to do it, to get the game right, which is, I feel, the most important thing. I don't care about the tradition and, the umpires are part of the game and yada, yada, yada. The object is to get the calls right so the game is played correctly and you know what's what. How do you feel about the electronic strike zone, or you think they need to implement it into the MLB?
Not right. I think that's coming. I'm not exactly sure as of right now, but I think that day will be coming maybe within the next 10 years. I'll give you that. They have made steps to, with the replays over the last several years. So at least they done away with technology altogether. So they've kind of done it, in little bites, little pieces. So I would say I understand the frustration on the umpire as far as getting the calls right or wrong. I'm not exactly sure if they could, if they would ever want to challenge it. Now, that could be an option. Now, you could have the human elements, and I think that's where baseball does not want to go away from. They want to keep it as human as possible while implementing technology into the game in the 21st century. So, there got to be some sort of balance. If they're not going to fully get rid of umpires, I think the next best thing, which I would be all for, is have a challenge. Like a challenge that's kind of like what they have with the NFL, kind of like what they do right now with challenging calls, like outs and stuff like that. Maybe you can challenge a strike, a pivotal strike and a full count. Maybe it was a 3-2, and the pitcher felt like he got a strike in there, maybe a slider, backdoor, breaking ball, whatever. And you have the technology to accurately pinpoint if the ball crossed the plate at a certain place and a certain height to be called the strike, and the umpire just simply missed it if it was so blatant. So I think you could actually try that, where you could issue a challenge as far as calling balls and strikes. Maybe one a game or two, probably one a game to start and see where that goes.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's so many, so much goes on, and like you say, so many times the manager might think it's a strike or a ball, but it will be probably in crucial situations, bases loaded or 2 outs and a chance to break the game open or tie the game or whatever. So I guess that's feasible. My thing is the technology is there. You can use it. You can still keep the umpires in the game. They can make the calls on plate interference and stuff like that. But when it comes to the balls and strikes, it's so crucial for a pitcher and a hitter. Those ball strike counts that we've seen. I know I've watched the Nats since they moved to DC and got the new stadium. And there's been some times, especially with Alan Porter. Oh my God, even though we got the same last name, I cannot stand that dude because he has, I don't know if he has it out for the Nats whenever he's the home plate umpire, but he always gets into it with somebody. There's always something that rubs him the wrong way where he feels he has to show off. And that's why I feel the umpires are doing too much. You know what I'm saying? The people aren't coming there to see you. They're coming there to see the athletes. And then when you're, throwing folks out the game or, making bad calls, it feel like somebody's showing you up because they didn't walk away fast enough or they looked at you a certain way. I just can't. I'm getting tired of it because I've seen it. I watched almost 162 games that the Nats play every year. I watch every game. So it's times that it happens and it's so frustrating. And then you can see how the momentum of the game changes or certain things, how then the other team might get a call or not get something called because, he missed it. Is that because he's still upset because he felt like he was showing up, or is that really what it was? The human element is cool, but like I say, the ultimate goal is to get the calls right and to get the gameplay right and to get the correct, winner of the game.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Maybe there will be a time where Major League Baseball goes in that direction. If they have the right, they probably have to go through some sort of. See, I think also you have to get the MLB and the MLBPA on board, like kind of like a collective bargaining, both sides. So that's kind of the first step if they're going to do that to that level of calling balls and strikes. So there might be a day that will happen. I wouldn't even put it past that. So I think it will happen. Honestly, I'm just not exactly sure when.
Yeah.
But I think at least starting to that direction, you could actually at least challenge a balls and strikes. And I understand sometimes an umpire or a referee, whatever sport, can have an out for a particular pitcher. And you're right. This is about the players performing on the field. The umpire or the referee, whatever, their job is to call it objectively as best as they see it, so the best team does win on the field, whatever. Like you said, as far as the NBA, now you didn't really reference the NBA, but it's kind of the same situation where there was a time, right, in the NBA where the referee felt like they were the third part of the game. There was the players, the fans, and
Steve Javie.
These transcendent players. Remember when Steve Javie?
Exactly. I just said Steve Javie.
Like situations like that. That should never happen.
Yeah, man. It's sick.
He looked at him and he teed him up and threw him out the game. He was sitting on the bench. That can't happen.
I was going to go ahead and segue to basketball because you definitely follow the Knicks and cover the Knicks. Matter of fact, I didn't even give you a proper introduction. That's my bad. I was thinking about it, just jumping right into it. This is my man Steve Azul from the Bleed Blue Show, bringing you some of the best coverage of the Yankees, Giants, Knicks, all the New York teams. Covers them all just like we do here on Sports on the Hill podcast. And I'm sorry I didn't give him a proper introduction before we started. But you definitely follow basketball closer than I do. What is your interpretation of this Knicks team that seems like they can't ever get over that hump? They make some moves and think they're going to, finally get better, return to the heydays of the, 90s and early 2000s and, later than that when they were winning titles. Where do you think this Knicks team is going?
Man, it is a hot mess at 33rd and 7th in Manhattan right now. It's a hot mess. Man, where do we start? I mean, it's overturned presidents over and over and over. Now you have Dave Black, who was kind of brought in as the overseer. He was going to run things with Steve Mills and Scott Perry. Now, Steve Mills is out the door, and I didn't think that day was going to happen. I think, Dolan is really close with Steve Mills because of business-wise with Madison Square Garden, not just on the basketball, but just the operations of it. Makes a lot of money for Dolan, so that's why Steve Mills kind of overstayed his stay as Knicks president. But really just recently got Leon Rose, the probably everybody's favorite sports agent, through these current NBA players, Chris Paul's, Carmelo Anthony's. He's got a great relationship with these players. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're a great general manager. So it's another one of those things with the Knicks. It's a wait-and-see game. We've run through so many general managers, from Donnie Walsh, Grunfeld, or if you go up to Phil Jackson when he came in as president. Now Scott Perry, Steve Mills. Whether you want to give him a GM title or the president title, it's just been a revolving door. The Knicks have no stability. A lot of it was a domino effect from the Isaiah years with bad contracts pretty much through the whole 2000s. But as of right now, as far as the Knicks, we've spent a lot of time getting a lot of bad contracts off the books. Carmelo kind of never got the help that he thought he was going to get after the trade. We've done, the Donnie Walsh trade with Denver, and we gave him a lot of assets, and that kind of hurt the Knicks because the Knicks had one good year with all those veterans, Jason Kidd, Tyson Chandler, Rasheed Wallace, who went to the playoffs and got eliminated in the second round by Indiana, and then everybody started retiring. We didn't have no future, no draft, no guys on the come up. The Knicks got some good youth players. We got a couple of veterans that kind of helped us out this year, but the Knicks never really found their way, because I really believe, especially in today's NBA, you really need a point guard that can really do it all. And that's where the Knicks really struggle right now. The Dennis Smith Jr. trade has not panned out. He's been going through injuries, and I think a lot of what the Knicks were trying to do this past season was going to be at his doorstep, and it has been a complete fail this past season. The point guard situation has been a hot mess. Outside of that, I do like Mitchell Robinson a lot. Julius Randle has given us some sort of consistency as far as like a double-double type of guy. But outside of that, we can't compete in the division. And everybody in the division is just better than the Knicks. The Nets, the Raptors, the Sixers, the Celtics. Everybody in the division is better than the Knicks. So right there off the rip, that's 4 teams that are probably in the playoffs. And then if you look at the other divisions, your Milwaukee's, your Indiana's, got a team like, the Wizards scrapping for like the 8th seed. So the Knicks is just, they have a lot of work to do, man, a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned the Wizards. Like I said, I don't really follow them closely, but I check them out. And finally, they got rid of Grunfeld. I never understood how that man kept a job for so long. And my biggest thing is, when they gave Bradley Beal the max contract, I wasn't really sold on it, but we talked a little bit about how he, took over in Madison Square Garden. He showed, I say, over the last 2 years that he does deserve it. But my biggest issue, I guess I'll ask you from the outside looking in, I feel like him and Wall should be able to work together and control his team and take this team to the next level. What do you think, or what do you see that's holding them two back from, well, for one, staying healthy at the same time and taking this team to at least to the second round of the playoffs and not trying to squeak in as a 7 or 8 seed?
Wow, that's a great question, man. You just got to get more versatility at the front line as far as a guy who could really make an impact, double-doubles every night consistently. A consistent 20 and 10 type of cat is going to be a third wheel or be the third option. Got some nice young pieces that I do like for the Wizards. Bradley Beal, in my opinion, not just the Knicks games that he killed us, but I've watched Bradley Beal pretty much all season because I watch a lot of NBA games as well. And with Wall hurt, he really took it another level. He looked like a max player. He was killing everybody.
Yeah.
The comparison I had to Bradley Beal, like everybody else did, was kind of like Ray Allen. He was balling better than Ray Allen in a lot of these games. Just the tenacity, the attacking to the rim. Of course, the excellent outside shooting. But if the Wizards were to go the next step, I know they got the guy from Gonzaga out of the draft, and he's a nice piece. But if a guy like him took it to the next level, I know he's kind of more of an undersized. He's kind of like a tween. He's like a 3, somewhere between a 3 and a 4. But if somebody who give you 20 and 10, along with Wall and Bill, I've seen the Wizards games. Like I saw when Houston went there. Y'all been giving up 150 plus points. You gotta have. I mean, I know this NBA is soft, but at some point a team's gotta play defense. Any team, all the teams. So you can't win and you're giving up 120 plus points. And that goes for all teams, not just the Wizards, but everybody. And that's where I think a lot of these teams are just worried about scoring and not stopping. And the best teams are going to get those stops. Like your Toronto's, that's why they went to this NBA Finals and won. They got stops.
Yeah, defense is key, and unfortunately, this Wizards team, they're allergic to it. Not even going to just this past season with them giving up 120, 140. That's been a kind of a staple of this team that they'll play defense here and there, but when it comes down to it, it just doesn't happen. And they have to get better. Like I said, I haven't studied them close. If Robbie was able to call it, unfortunately he wasn't, but I know he definitely has some deeper insights than I would. But it's just frustrating because I go back to being a Bullets fan. Kevin Duckworth. To me, Kevin Duckworth was the last solid center that they had on this team. I mean, Chris Webber was good, but he was never a pure center. He was more of a power forward that could play center and, had a decent low post game, but his mid-range game was what, set him apart. This team is just, it's like they're always on the cusp of getting better, and then something happens and it just all falls apart, or it never gets consistent, or I don't know what the reason is, but it just boggles my mind that this team can't get over the hump. I think the last run they had when they, Wall, I believe they made it almost to the Eastern Conference Finals a few years back. But then after that, they fell off again. So it's a head scratcher with this team for me. I mean, I know, like I said, I don't study them as close as I used to, but it's just a head scratcher. And I guess one more question I got for you, basketball related, because one of the main reasons that I'm not really a basketball fan is I came up, the Jordan era, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, when basketball felt more real to me. Felt like, you saw plays being ran. You saw fundamentals, pick and roll, guys being able to hit a consistent shot between 12 and 15. Now, to me, all you see is, folks dribbling the ball for 20 seconds and get to the hole, but then they miss the layup. So now it's more of a three-point fest now. That's the era we in now. And I guess my question is, do you think the fundamentals of the game are being lost on the players coming out now? Because from what I see, and why the European players are excelling is because they still do practice and study the fundamentals of the game and, doing what needs to be done. It's not all about flash and getting to the hole and dunking and making somebody fall with a crossover. They still concentrate on the actual, nuances of the game and perfecting their craft, not just, they're athletic and they can, make up for not being fundamentally sound because they can beat somebody off the dribble.
I totally agree with you, man. I know you've been familiar with everybody else has during this crisis, this pandemic, with the Last Dance documentary of the Chicago Bulls, and I'm like you. I watched the NBA in the '80s and the '90s at my come up too. Same thing. And the thing you noticed, the first thing is, even though they were not as athletic as a whole as what they are today, they played together as a team, offensively and defensively. And defensively, they were tougher because the rules were tough. The rules were just tougher then. They kind of got a little loose as far as you can't touch nobody, you can't put your hands on anybody. Almost like a hard foul back then is almost a flagrant two.
I say that all the time.
Almost a turn off to a lot of the older school basketball heads. But I agree with you as far as a lot of it is today. I said it. I think it was last week I was talking on our platform, and today's NBA is pretty much the AAU culture. It's kind of like what AAU is, and it's a lot of the players today are from that circuit. Everybody wants to play with their friends. They want to pair up. Everybody's friends now. Like before, it was like a respect. We want to compete and beat you. Where it's kind of like, well, we're cool. If we lose, it's no big deal. Where people hated to lose a lot more back then. And a lot of that mental aspect is just not there as far as winning and losing. I mean, don't get me wrong, people want to win, but I mean, everybody's hugging and high-fiving. You don't see like how with the Boston Celtics and the Detroit Pistons, like they lost, they were buttered. We're not shaking hands. We're walking out. We ain't talking to you. It was a pure nature. But the athletes, they're definitely more athletic today, but they don't play play as a team, and plus you can't really touch them, so that's why the scoring is up, and that's why a lot of these teams are giving up 120 plus points. A lot of this is the AAU circuit because, as you already know, a lot of these players, before they even get to college, they've been playing on these AAU travel teams since, 15, 16, 17. You got John Moran playing with Zion Williamson since they were teenagers. You've got guys, if you're down in the Texas area, Florida area, like, Dwight Howard, when he was coming up, playing with Josh Smith. A lot of these guys are friends. Like, they know each other. They played all summer long. You get to these new crop guys now, like Marcus Bagley when he came out of Arizona. Like, they played a lot of basketball together, so they're kind of like they got friendships. Everybody knows about the Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Wade, LeBron. They're all friends. Like you already know, like Oak Hill down in Virginia, man. Carmelo versus LeBron. These guys were boys way before the NBA. So. A lot of it is just it's for entertainment purposes, but as far as the competitiveness, is nowhere near what it used to be, man. So that's where I guess where an old school fan like yourself kind of is turned off. And I still watch for the love, but I still remember how it used to be, man. It's just not the same, man.
Yeah, definitely not the same. Speaking about the athletes, I've been speaking about this before. The athletes nowadays are a different breed. They don't have the same mentality as coming up because it's like they see the gold, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if they make it. So it's not the fact that they're really motivated in certain aspects. They know what's there. And back in the day, you had to scrap, you had to fight to get into the league and stay in the league. Now with these max deals and they get one contract, they figure they're set for life. I don't think they really take it as serious. And that's not just basketball. That's across the board in all sports with football. I can't even say hockey because I haven't really seen that in hockey, but with basketball and football, it runs rampant because they see, they're more aware is what I'm trying to say. They know what's what. They're more educated on, okay, if I do this, play this the right way, I can get to that, mega contract or whatever. Back in the day, it was a crapshoot. You had to play hard every night. There was no taking off. Like you said, there was no friendships on the court. There was like, if I don't play my game and he outplays me, no matter if we friends off the court or not, I could lose my job and I could be out the league. So I guess it's not it's not their fault, but I just can't get into it the way I used to. I mean, I flip through and see the playoffs on. I might watch for a little bit, but then something to happen, like you say, a foul, and it'd be a flagrant 2, and it should have been maybe a possible no call or a jump ball or something. It's just what my intake is that once David Stern started getting all the money involved, the league got soft because all the money they started making, and folks wanted to see more scoring, and like you said, they had the rules changed, so you couldn't no hand checking and no this and no that, stifling the defense so they can get these high scoring games to keep the audience happy, to keep them spending money and checking out the games.
You're absolutely correct, man. I agree. Your traditional fours, your power fours back then were bruisers. They get in the paint and bang and get 9-10 boards a night. Where a lot of these guys were fours now, power forwards. They're considered stretch forwards. They're kind of like your Dirk Nowitzki type of cat. Yeah. They're bombing 3-pointers. Everybody's shooting threes, even centers. That was even unheard of. Shooting threes from a center. I mean, it happened maybe twice a year, and that was because the shot clock was, running down and you had to, throw it up.
Yeah.
But now everybody's chucking up threes. I mean, if you could at least get it to the rim with an accurate form, they're going to launch it, and that's just the way it is today. I can understand that. That's why a lot of old school people kind of can still appreciate college basketball. It still has that, that element of competitiveness because there's not that, the money's not involved. The money's not as great. There's no money at all in college. But, the NBA, like you said, because of these TV contracts where it has gone revenue-wise because the 80s and 90s cats, particular, like, your Jordans, have blown this game up globally. The money started coming in, your shoes, your contract TVs and all that stuff. It's made it to the point where today's NBA players are really eating because they benefited off the old school players that paved the way. And now they just don't compete. I mean, come on, load management? You know what I'm saying?
No
That's
doubt.
not load management. Never been heard of
Hey,
in the
man.
90s, man.
Yeah, it's
70s, 60s, whatever. Load management?
yeah, man. It's crazy.
My Leonard type of cats?
It's not, to me, it's not a good look. But we cover the Mystics. I know you had a New York Liberty up there that you probably cover or at least watch. We cover them and have credentials, so we would go to the games. And I actually enjoyed the WNBA game more than I do the NBA game because it's more the women, fundamentals. They're not dunking and all of that good stuff, but the fundamentals are there. They play defense, they scrap, they hustle, they run plays. They actually are playing basketball. So I actually appreciate the WNBA more than I do the NBA at this point. How do you feel about the WNBA and the discrepancy in the wages? We know because they don't have as much viewership and not filling the stadiums or whatever. But how do you feel about the WNBA and the issues that they have with revenue and trying to stay afloat after almost 20 years in existence, over 20 years?
Yeah. I used to watch the WNBA when it first came into fruition. I remember his day when he in the late 90s, man. I did watch the Liberty as early as the Becky Hammond and the Teresa Witherspoon team. They always lose to the Houston Comets, to Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops. That was frustrating. But here's my thing about the WNBA. If they really wanted to get viewers, and I said this over and over, this is how you do it. Everybody knows why people love baseball. You know why people love baseball, Carol?
Why is that?
Because of the home run. They want to see home runs. They want to see people hit it over the fence. And depending on which sluggers at the plate, they want to see how far you can hit it. You know why people love the NBA? They want to see high fly dunks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, you want to see competitive games. But, if LeBron's on a fast break, he's going to put up something crazy. Or Jordan in his day. Or whatever, Vince Carter when he was in his prime. People love slam dunk, right? Mm-hmm. This is why they bring back the slam dunk contest. Or why people love great goal scoring in the NHL. I mean, if you have Ovechkin, you have Sidney Crosby in his prime, Steven Stamkos or Brad Marchand, and people want to see goal scoring in the NHL. It's of course boxing. We talked about this a little bit the other night, man. Boxing, you want to see people get knocked out. You don't want to see a 12-round fight, right?
Yeah.
And people just pity-patting.
Not every time.
Especially you pay pay-per-view money.
Yeah.
You want to see somebody get hit with a big blow, right? If there was ever a knock on the WNBA, and I wish they should have been done this, and people may not like this, they gotta lower the rim so those women can slam on each other, man. If you want to see people fill up the seat and watch it, I would love to see Lisa come to the lane and just dunk it on Brittany Griner. I would love to see that. But because the rim is so high and the women are not as athletic as the dudes, you're not gonna see as many dunks. But if you want to see viewership go up, you want to see more people go into the stands because people go to these. Of course, the NBA they go to these games because of the star attraction. Because especially like Shaquille O'Neal in his prime. Why do you think everybody's watching Orlando Magic and the Lakers?
Yeah.
Because Shaq possibly may literally bring down the rim.
Yeah.
People wanted to see that, and it happened.
Yeah, a couple times.
So,
yeah.
My whole thing with the WNBA, I mean, they've got a good product because of the team basketball aspect, but if they really wanted to take it to the next level, I really believe they should lower the rim so a lot of those women could really start doing some creative stuff with the, dunking and all that. I mean, I think that's the only thing that could take it to the next level, honestly. What's your thoughts on that?
I've never even thought about that, honestly. So what do you think, lower to 9.5 feet instead of 10, or taking a hold down a whole foot?
Yeah.
What, 9.5?
So somewhere between 9 and 9.5, and I think you could be onto something. It'll be so much fun to watch somebody like Brittany Griner, who does dunk semi-regularly when she was at Baylor and on the Mercury. Someone like her, of course, she would be Shaq, basically. You could market that. You could promote that.
True,
you could sell that to people. Like if you're watching a commercial, you're watching a NASCAR race or whatever, and they showing a preview of the WNBA, and they see Brittany Griner doing a drop step and just slamming it, hanging on the rim like Shaq. I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's facts. That's facts right there. I think that would work.
The viewership would definitely not go down.
Yeah, you're not lying on that. I think we might need to write them a letter and let them know what they need to do to help get their viewership. But I think we might be on to something, Steve. That I never even thought about that, but that definitely is relevant.
Yeah. I mean, especially summertime where their season takes place in between the NBA seasons. The only sport really you have going on. I mean, you have the MLS, and then of course you got the NBA Summer League. I mean, think about look at it like this, Carol. Look how well the NBA Summer League has been doing over the years. You know, they've been taking it. They've had their sites in Utah. They've had their sites in Orlando, upstate California, and Sacramento at the new arena, the Golden One Arena. And then after like those mini like tournaments, they move everything to Vegas, and the viewership has gone nothing but up. But why has it gone up? Because they know that they can get those athletic guys to perform. People want to see Zion Williamson. Why they want to see Zion Williamson? The number one attribute of why they love him because the dunks he performs in the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the NBA in the summer league was through the roof. Yeah. Remember they had the earthquake game? I think it was against us, or I know they once you took it from Kevin Knox and just double teamed it like Dominique Wilson, like oh. And how many times they showed that replay over the weekend versus the Knicks, you know? So yeah, I mean that's what the WNBA is missing, man. To at least go to the next level, in my opinion.
Hey, I'm glad I asked that question. That's a hell of a thought process. That could do it to bring in more viewers, because you see somebody get a female dunking on another female. We haven't seen that often, but that definitely would be interesting. The lower end of 9.5. That definitely would be. We got about 15 moments. I know you got to go. We got about 15 minutes. So now we're going to talk about one of my favorite sports, hockey. You know, you got the Rangers up there that you've been following. You know, we talked about the Caps a little bit with the window that they have, hopefully to win another Stanley Cup, which like I said, predicted at the beginning of the season they would. So hopefully we do have hockey playoffs to see if I was be correct or not. But what is your take on the Rangers and where they are and where they're trying to go?
Yeah, it's been a nice start to the rebuild. The Rangers for a long time, I'll say about from 2009 up and through, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2014 and lost to the Kings. Then they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They had a nice run, but could just never get through the door. And that was around the time when you guys, the Capitals, were right on the come up. And you guys took, that's why no matter what, it seems like the Washington Capitals, no matter where they are in the standings, I can even remember not this past season with the pause of the season, but the season before when y'all had the slow start. I was coming off the Stanley Cup. I've been wait for the Washington Capitals. We talk about that on the Ring Podcast with Ranger Proud episode, on our hockey episode. The Capitals are just, they'll turn it on when they turn it on. So the Rangers, in the sense, they had to get younger. They had to get a lot of these old, overpaid contracts off the books. But the Rangers as a recent, before the COVID-19, they were playing some very good hockey, man. They were right there coming back into the standings. We were maybe like 3-4 points out of the second wild card spot. And I thought the Rangers were really hitting their stride at the best time of the year, man. I really like what Gordon has done for the Blue Shirts. Panarin has been worth every penny of that $11 million of his salary. Mika Zibanejad, a guy that I do like, and I thought when we had the trade with him with Derek Brassard with the Ottawa Senators, I think clearly we won that trade. He's been playing top 10 center hockey in this league. But the problem, with the weakness with the Rangers, I think is obviously they're not a complete roster yet. Meaning they don't have those fourth liners. For like championship quality fourth liners, but I think scoring wise, they can compete with almost any team in the league when healthy, fully healthy. But I think the issue with the Rangers as well, Carol, is if one of our top guns is out, it's like we're kind of like not the same team. Like when Chris Kreider got hurt and he was out all those games, it took a lot of time to adjust. But I like the fact that we did re-sign Chris Kreider. He's one of my favorite Rangers through this last decade. I say to say, man, I mean, the whole division is just stacked, man. I mean, your team, the Capitals, mean, even Pittsburgh could be on the off year and they're still Pittsburgh. It's just how good they are, the culture they have built over the last, 15, 20 years since the Lemieux, Yager years, and then they had a little dispel and got Crosby. If you look at a team like Philadelphia, LA, Vignon's there, and he's got those guys playing very well. The Islanders got, as you already know, with Barry Trotz in the Stanley Cup, he's got the Islanders. Everybody thought the Islanders were dead when Tavares went to Toronto. And he's got those guys really playing some very good balanced hockey. The division is stacked, man. Carolina is a fun team to watch. They're one of my underrated teams to watch, man. They put up a lot of scoring. They just have no defense. But if you want to watch a random hockey game, the Carolina Hurricanes, they'll go anywhere and put up 5 goals on you if you sleep on them. Yeah. So I think the division is set. And as far as the Rangers, man, they could be right there in the middle of everything as far as, as you already know, the NHL. As long as you win, you never know how it could pan out. Look what happened with St. Louis. They were literally in last place in the West in January last year before they went on their run, and they clipped off Winnipeg, and they clipped off the San Jose Sharks, all the way on to the Boston Bruins, to the Stanley Cup. So that's the beauty of the NHL that none of the other sports can have. As long as you get in, you have a chance. And so the Rangers was kind of like almost in that direction, man. Replacing Henrik Lundqvist with Igor Shesterkin, a young and upcoming type of goalie. Likely Hank Lundqvist, when he came into the league, around the same time Obi Ovechkin came in around 05, 06. So yeah, our future is looking bright, man. The draft picks, I really do like our Rangers situation, what it could look like.
No doubt, no doubt. You mentioned Mika Zibanejad. That's one of my favorite hockey names, man. I don't know why I love his name. I just love his name. And the bread man Panarin, yeah, that dude, he's sick. I can't believe they let him out of Columbus to come over there because, yeah, I remember he beat the Capitals on a hell of a goal last year in a game during the season that I was pissed off or all off, but after I looked at it, like, there's nothing he can do. That dude he's just that sick. But I feel the Metro Division is the toughest division in NHL right now. They always talk about the Central and the West and the Pacific in the West. But to me, the Metropolitan is the toughest division and the most talented division in hockey right now.
I think it might be, but I would honestly say last year it was definitely the Central. I mean, the Central was a gauntlet, man.
Yeah.
It really was, man. I think I would give it to the Metro this year. And, I mean, the Atlantic is not too bad either, but it's just not as deep as the Metro. But last year, the Central, man, it was so deep, man. I mean, Nashville, before they kind of went into the little spiral, Winnipeg, Dallas was on the come up, and they had to make some good trades. They had to trade with Zuccarello. I mean, now they got Joe Pavelski from the Sharks and Corey Perry from the Anaheim Ducks. Because they got a lot of veterans on there. But I love their young defensemen who could score. They got some good young defensemen that can score. Shikinen. But St. Louis is the defending champs, man. It's almost like people almost write the ball, and they're the most balanced team probably in that division. And if you want to throw in a team like the Colorado Avalanche, I think their top line, man, I mean, to put up the more scoring punch than anybody with Landeskog and one of my favorite players in the entire league, Nathan McKinnon, man. I really like the balance in both divisions. I'll even say the Atlantic is top heavy as well. Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston, they're top heavy. But as far as balance, man, yeah, the Metro, outside of Jersey, because Jersey really struggled. I thought they were going to be having a good comeback year with, Jack Hughes with the #1 draft pick and also Taylor Hall in another year. I'm actually kind of surprised that kind of spiraled out of control, man, especially picking up PK Subban. But yeah, man, the Metro is just, every night you got to bring it. I mean, you have to bring it every night in the Metro or in the NHL in general.
Yeah.
Because a small losing streak will put you out of the playoffs.
No doubt, no doubt. We've definitely seen it happen before. But appreciate all your insights on the New York teams and breaking down each leagues when we're trying to figure out what's going on in the sports world. We got about 5 minutes before the show, before we hit 10 o'clock hour. Let the folks know where they can find you at and what you got upcoming on your podcast coming up this week and going forward.
Oh, yeah, we're the Bleed Blue Show with KG and YR Sports. That is for the Knicks, Giant, Yankee, Rangers. Talking Knicks, Giant, Yankee, Rangers week to week. We talk all sports like you talk all sports. Pretty much we're the DC version of you guys up here. So, as you already know, sports is at a standstill. We've also do not only just talking sports, we also do fan level type of episodes. We talk about bandwagon fan, diehard fan, loyal fans, social media fans, crazy fans, season ticket holder fans. We talk on fan level stuff too that people can relate to and have a good time with that as well. We talk about tailgates, favorite arenas, favorite stadiums, all that other good jazz, man. What's it like to be a fan? What fan bases we hate? We talk all that type of stuff on our shows. But I got a question for you, man. What do you think, man, as far as the state of each league, the four major team sports, man, as far as are the NFL, the NHL, NBA, MLB, are they at a good place? Could they each be better? What's your thoughts on that, man?
I say with the NFL, I'm thinking they're moving in the right direction. I meant that I didn't even think about the new Rooney Rule stuff. I was going to ask you about. I totally forgot about that with the hiring of more minority head coaches. I mean, I'm not sure what they decided on because some of the stuff that they were negotiating. But I think they're moving in the right direction. They made some of the rule changes. They're doing stuff with instant replay to try to, clean the game up from these, outrageous calls that don't get called, pass interference and stuff like that. So I feel like the NFL is heading in the right direction. MLB, as I mentioned, I want to see the electronic strike zone. That to me, that's my linchpin right there for MLB. I love watching baseball. I can watch, at first I couldn't watch a whole game. Now I can't imagine myself not watching the whole game during the season. I just want, like I said, the electronic strike zone, excuse me, is what I'm looking for in that. Basketball, I just want them to start playing real basketball again. I can't get into it. I can't get emotionally invested like I used to be. And, my last time really watching closely was when the Celtics got KG, who is, I can say, my favorite player, I guess, of all time besides Hakeem Olajuwon. And when they signed him and they finally got his ring because he stayed a little too loyal in Minnesota, which I told folks, loyalty can be to a fault sometimes. If he'd have left there a couple of years earlier, that man could have walked away with a couple of rings. But I just miss fundamental basketball. That's why I say I enjoy watching the WNBA more than I watch the NBA. And with hockey, as I said the other night, I feel like it's the last pure sport in the four major sports because if there are no superstar rules. If the superstar do something that don't get called, the goon gonna come out there and they're gonna crush him into the boards, or somebody gonna make him pay some point out that game. So the refs don't want to call it. Somebody gonna lay the wood to him, let him know, hey, you don't do that. That's why I love Tom Wilson's one of my favorite players. His game is evolving more offensively. Yeah, I mean his game is evolving more offensively, but they know if Tom out there and you get a little too physical with Kuzi or with Backy, you better watch your back.
Oh, yeah, we know that. Oh, Ranger fans hate Tom. The old school, Leatherwood. Love to have him on your team. Hate him if he's opposed to you. I remember he put the hit on Buchnevich in one of those games. Late Buchnevich. You probably remember the game. It was at the Garden. And he was kind of like yelling at the Rangers bench. Mm-hmm. Who wants to go to sleep? That hits Rangers Twitter all. You guys, Rangers Twitter during the game, during Rangers Capitals. I mean, the Rangers fans were going off. I mean, they were very emotional, but man, Ranger fans on social media, they hated Tom Wilson for that, man. I mean, that's not his only indictment as well, but I mean, just get the blue shirts, man. He pissed off a lot of Rangers. It made me mad too. I was bad too. I ain't gonna front. It's one of those situations, man. Love to have him if he was on my team, but it pissed off a lot of Rangers. And remember, he had to fight. Oh man, with Brandon Lemieux. That's what it was. Yeah, man. I love him. I love this game from when he first came in. And Robbie had broke it down to me that he was an offensive skill guy in college, and it just that he's so big and so physical that's what they were using him for on the third and fourth line. But once he got elevated to the top line to play with Ovi and the second line, sometimes his offensive skill was shown. And unfortunately, he's had some incidents where he did cross the line. Maybe I still am not going to admit it, but he might have got a little too physical. Might have left his feet a couple of times to lay a hit. But his game is definitely evolving. All the trash talk, all the hate for him, I understand it. But I feel like the way his game is now, that's just from his first impression from the way he came into the league. But I love his game. And I love that he's on our team, and I don't want to imagine him not being on our team because I don't want to have him to face up against some of our players. But
I want to get your thoughts on the Rooney. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on the Rooney Rule real quick because I know you probably was more up on it today because I know they passed some, passed the rule finalizing it. Did you get a chance to check that out, and what is your thought process on that?
I really didn't get a chance to check it out fully, but as far as trying to give opportunities to more minority coaches, as far as them on the come up, I mean, I don't see why that cannot be a bad thing. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, most of the league is primarily of Black American, African American players, so you kind of want to have you kind of want everything to be diversified based off not only what you see but qualifications. So you gotta have that balance. So to give you a long story short or a quick answer, I am for it. You know, you want to see people black coaches get opportunities. But here's the thing: I do want to stress as well, because a lot of these young coaches, you know, you're very familiar with Sean McVay, how he came up through the ranks.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Steve? Did we lose you, Steve? Uh-oh. No, he's still on. Oh, man, it just cut Steve off right there. That's crazy. Yo, Steve. And it's still showing on the board, but for some reason we've lost Steve. That sucks. He was breaking it down perfectly. But as with the Rooney Rule, which is the rule to try to get more minority coaches and more assistant coaches and more minorities in the upper ranks of coaching in the NFL, is very crucial. And I saw the proposal was that, if a team interviews the minority candidates or hires a minority candidate, they get an extra draft pick or move up in draft positioning or whatever. Some folks had a problem with that, saying, some folks would just hire a minority coach to get higher draft picks and just to do it. But it doesn't make sense if you're trying to get better and you're trying to win a Super Bowl for you just to hire a minority to get higher draft picks to get more talented players. But then if he's not a good coach, what's the point? So I don't know what the answer is, because the Rooney Rule's been in place for at least, I believe over a decade, maybe 2 decades, and we still have few minority head coaches, few defensive coordinators, and all of that. So hopefully something they do, at least they're trying to do something to try to get more minority coaches in the head coaching role. And look like we got Steve back. Yo, Steve, you back with us, man? You just dropped off like you went through a tunnel.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm all for it. Long story short, I'm all for it, man. I'm definitely man. I appreciate that, man. I had a fun time talking sports, man. Like I said, man, you already know how it is, man. Just doing a dynamic platform with multiple sports, man. And it's been a long time since I got to actually. It's been a long time since I had a chance to, just talk sports on other people's platforms, man. Loving it, man. Keep the great work, you and Robbie, man. Sports on the Hill, man.
Hey, man, appreciate it. You're always welcome here, bro. We got to have you back on. We this is probably our first or second year we had you on, and it's our 4th year going into our 5th season. So yeah, we definitely going to do some more. I definitely enjoyed that NFC East roundtable last night. We definitely got to get together and do it again. Even though the Dallas fan kept on, jumping off and jumping back on. It wasn't really a bad thing, but, I love the good convo we had, the trash talking, and the insight that you guys had, especially the Eagles fan, because he was throwing numbers out there. I was sitting there like, wow, this like the other version of this. This like the Robbie version in Philly style.
Right. I mean, everybody is up on their craft, doing what they need to do as far as delivering original sports fan content. Like you guys say, keep the politics out, man. Just keep the sports and have fun with it, man. That's what it's all about, man. I really respect what everybody's doing, man. I mean, this is a lane that we created for, each of us, and we know the hard work we put into making it happen, man. So that's why I can always say much respect to you guys, Sports on the Hill, and everybody else is doing their thing, man, and having an opinion and a voice to be heard, man. That's what it really means that much to me, man, as a sports podcaster myself, and as well as a sports fan, man.
Hey, man, appreciate that, bro. Like I said, I always love checking out the Bleed Blue show. I always see you out there, away games, home games, with the fans, having a good time. That's where we're trying to take our next step, too. I told you, we're trying to get to where you are, though, being able to go to away games and root for my team, because I've never been to an away game. you know, watching my team play. So it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. So I love checking y'all out to give me, you know, more incentive to do better, be better, and make our show better. So appreciate you taking the time. You have a good night, bro, and I'll holler at you later on, man.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too. Once again, that was my man Steve Azul of the Bleed Blue Show. Covers all the teams like we do here in DC. Covers the Rangers, the Knicks, the Giants. I don't know if he covers the Jets too much, but we'll let that slide. That was a little shot with Brian, if he was listening. But we got an hour in. I was expecting a couple of other calls, but unfortunately, folks' schedules didn't pan out the way they, thought they were. So I'm going to get up out of here. As I said, this is my third show in 3 days. So I'm going to sit back, watch, try to find some sports on TV, probably end up watching something off my DVR or something. But y'all make sure y'all tune in on Monday. Sports on the Hill podcast will be coming to you live, talking something. I don't know. Anything sports related. We'll bring it up. Anything that's popping off during the week. We definitely want to bring it to you. Make sure you check out Friday night on True Radio Network for No Spots Podcast, covering wrestling, WWE, NXT, and all other ones that I don't know. So make sure you check us out. Got best content coming. DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3, live from the lab, and I'm out.
Let me practice.
I've been dreaming about you all night. Desire in the pain, my body shifting all night. So mental, baby. So mental, baby. So mental, baby. I'm thinking about you, dreaming about you, and I find you. All the pieces take to make a perfect bitch is right in my view. Is it real right now, girl? Are you really in my world? She if she say what she on me, she my helping hand. She try to further me, and where my man can hurt. She always nurture me. She gon' do my thing. And I gon' think I deal with somebody else. She gon' stay at her place. And let me take control like nobody else. She the true definition of a chick that ain't a